Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Dear students, today we are going to talk about international relations, and we are going to start, preparation for 200 marks international relations paper. And this is the first lecture on international relations, which is going to talk about which is going to give you an overview about the international relations. Normally, this question also comes in the paper, and they ask about the significance of international relations and scope of international relations, and why international relations is important in modern times, and also the short and brief history of international relations. So let's now understand, first of all, the definition of international relations. International relations means that, by the name it suggests, internation. When two or more than two states interact with each other, this is what we call international relations. And that interaction might be diplomatic ties, trade, people-to-people contact, cultural ties, or defense ties. So this is what we discuss in international relations. So this is basically a discipline which is which focus on the interaction of actors in international politics. And who are the actors? The states, for example. Sometimes states and sometimes non-state actors, like for example the United Nations, IMF, World Bank, Amnesty International. These are all non-state actors. And who are the state actors? State actors means countries. So one of the key features of international system is that it is state of anarchy, which means that there is no central authority in international system which controls everything. So international system is mostly it is governed by a realist school of thought, and in which the states focus on competition. They say focus on self-interest. They focus on their own interest and military might, and they want to grab more and more benefit while interacting with other states. So that is the most important thing in international system, that it is there is state of anarchy, that there is no central power in international relations which controls behaviors of the other countries. For example, there is no military power or a country in the world which can stop United States of America from influencing or attacking other states. So you have seen that United States of America sometimes use drone strikes against other states. Sometimes they carry out military operations in other states without and violating the charter of the UN, which clearly bar any international any country from taking action against another state. For example, Article 2.4 of the international law says that UN Charter says that all member states shall refrain from threat or use of force against another member state. But in the international system, you have seen international relations that United States of America, NATO, and many other countries, like for example Iraq, invaded Kuwait. Like for example Saudis, they play their role, carry out proxy war in Yemen, and same is the case with other states. Sometimes the powerful states attacks on the weaker states. So there is no central authority, central power which controls the behavior of the state. So each state in the system is sovereign and does not have to answer to a higher authority. So there is no higher authority on them. So countries behave in their own manner. So this is the peculiar aspect of international relations. The IR of the scope of this subject IR, it deals with it covers, it deals with the relationship among states, governments, people, and organizations all around the world. So you are going to learn about the global issues from a variety of perspectives. So mainly we are going to cover all these things in our study of international relations. International relations involve the study of for example foreign policy of other states, international conflict, internal conflicts, negotiations. For example, today Taliban and American government, they are they are negotiating to settle the war in Afghanistan. Sometimes they they also deals with the war. If you want to carry out a war against another state, that also comes in the preview of international relations. Nuclear proliferation, when countries try to acquire more and more nuclear warheads, or proliferate. That also comes in the under the scope of international relations. Terrorism. Now, the terrorism is not confined to one state or one country. It is transnational terrorism, and we have covered that in detail in the previous lectures. That terrorism is not confined to one state now. It is transnational. Al Qaeda, they have got global operations. They have got their bases in Somalia. They have got their bases in Arabian Peninsula. They have got their bases in Afghanistan, Pakistan, and many other parts of the world. So, same is the case with ISIS. They have also got support base in more than 100 countries. 4,000 Europeans are also part of this particular organization, and of course the Americans, to more than 300 or 400 Americans are also part of the ISIS, which enable ISIS to carry out attacks all around the globe. So this is what we call they also comes in the preview of international relations, because to curb terrorism and extremism, the whole world is working together. So this is what we include in this. International trade and economics, the countries interact with each other, they carry out imports and exports with other states, so that is because the whole world is a global village now. So after the globalization, every country is dependent on other country, so they have got interaction with other states. So you cannot live alone in the international system. For example, the Saudis, they possess huge amount of hydrocarbon resources. For example, oil, 269 billion barrels of oil. So but they don't have rivers, they don't have agriculture setup, so which means they have to import food items and other things from other states. So same is the case with Pakistan. We are an agrarian state, but at the same time we need oil from other states, and we get oil from Saudis and other countries. So this is how the interdependence of states is there, and which comes in the purview of international relations. And of course, international development, among other subjects. This is all the scope of international relations, in which we cover all these things like foreign policy, international conflict, negotiations, war, nuclear proliferation, terrorism, international trade and economics, and all these things we cover in the international relations. So international relations basically is not a new subject. For example, since if you trace back this particular subject to Sumerian city-states about 3,500 years, in BC, so you'll understand that the interaction of the city-states was there. Many ancient civilizations, they used to interact with each other. So Sumerian city-states, for example, ancient Silk Route, we have already covered this in our previous lectures, that China in 1st century BC used to interact with other civilizations through their Silk Route, and they used to have trade of their lucrative silk with other parts of the countries. And so the Silk Route was developed during that period, which connected China with Indian civilization, Arabian civilization, Persian civilization, and the European civilization, and beyond that, the other European civilizations. So this is how the countries interacted with each other. So IR is not a new subject. And then you have also example of city-states of Greece. There were hundreds of city-states, smaller city-states, and they were independent in their their own system, their laws, their government, their trade and other affairs. For example, military affairs, they were independent in those affairs. So these city-states were small, and they were independent in their own capacity. So these city-states used to interact with other states. For example, Megara, Athens, Sparta, Corinth, Argos, these were some of the very prominent and important city-states in ancient Greek. So these city-states used to interact with each other. ये आपस में भी एक दूसरे के साथ interaction करते थे. So this is another example of IR, international relations, in which countries or city-states used to interact with each other. Another example of city-state is you have got then empires. There were empires like, for example, the Persian Empire, the Roman Empire, and many other empires were also there in the in the past, and they used to have interaction with each other, trade with each other, sometimes wars with each other. So all these things come in the review of international relations.